We were actually on our way to a quilt shop, but they were late opening, so we ducked into the antique mall next door, and oh my gosh, I am glad we did because it was absolutely full of gorgeous antiques and gorgeous antique quilts. I'm Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and I'd like to invite you to come drool over the antiques and the quilts with me. This is one of the shops that my mom and I visited on our coast trip earlier last month, and we had a whole lot of fun. I love looking at the antique quilts because they always give me inspiration for what I can try to make myself with my scrap fabric, and I love looking at the antiques. This is a lamp. I have never seen the wishing well as a lamp. I have always seen it as a planter, and I've never seen one in this color. My mom, when I was growing up, had one just like it in the regular gold color on top of the fridge, and I don't know why I hated it so much as a child. I just thought that was the ugliest thing ever. And so, of course, she threatened to leave it to me in her will. Years and years later, my youngest son found one at an estate sale and fell in love with it. So I called mom and told her to put his name on hers and not mine. Then a couple of years after that, we found one at an estate sale for $1. So now I have one of my very own. And there's a cookie jar. If I ever find that wishing well cookie jar, I probably will have to haul it home. I love these antique malls because I look at things and I'm probably not going to buy it in the antique mall, but it gives me an idea what to look for at estate sales. And I like Mother, no, not Mother Hubbard. Did the old woman who lived in the shoe have a name? I don't think so. This one room was just so full of neat old stuff that, and as I go back and I watch the video, I can see how I kind of wandered around in circles. That down in the corner is the first of 3 toy antique or toy cash registers. And then look at the box of dolls. Somebody took so much time making clothing for them, and now they're trying to sell them without their heads. It's one of those things that makes me wonder, is there a resale value for that? Maybe the heads are there in the bottom of the box. I see one, and maybe they could be fixed. I didn't know I wanted a toy cash register. Now I want a toy cash register, which is one of the dangers of antique malls. You don't know what you want until you see it and fall in love with it, and usually it's inexplicably fall in love with it. They had a whole little crib full of Raggedy Ann dolls, and I think these were old, maybe not. There was also a lot of new merchandise in the shop, but they remind me of the ones my grandma made me, which Mom says she gave them to me. I don't remember her sending them over to my house, and they've got to be in a safe place. One of these days I will find them. Toy cash register number 2. I think I might like that better than the first one. I keep reminding myself that I have no good reason to start collecting antique toys, but I keep finding them and bringing them home, and I love them. They make my heart go pitty-pat. Look at these cheddar quilts. I think there are 3 different quilts hanging there. There's the churn dashes and the applique. I think that is a separate one in the middle. They're just so pretty. I love that shade of yellow, and I actually have done one quilt with that as the background, and it is one of my absolute favorites. The green next to him is not too shabby either. And a little, I think that's a stroller. There was so much vintage Pyrex in this store, and the prices on it almost make me want to stop using the stuff that a friend gave me, because if it's worth that, maybe I shouldn't be cooking with it. But mine probably isn't in the condition to command high prices if people spend that much for it. Love the pink quilts. Like I said, these are old. They're not. And they were used and loved. And I want to go through my yardage and see if I have any big pieces that would make fun backgrounds, because I would not have thought to do the pink with the stars like that. And Need to move the camera over. There we go. Love these applique oranges. I think sometimes I can get more inspiration out of an antique mall than I can out of a quilt shop. And absolutely, this antique mall was better than the quilt shop next door once it finally did open and we got to go take a look over there. Something about worn quilts just makes me want to snuggle up under one. And look, I'm going in circles again. We've seen that penny rug before in the Pyrex. There is honestly more in here than you could possibly take in on one trip through the store. And if this place was closer to my house, I think I'd visit frequently. There is toy cash register number 3. They're all adorable. I think the second one was my favorite though. And love the scale. Don't know what a roller organ is. Looks like kind of a music boxy player piano hybrid sort of thing. Look at the gramophone. Look at the bell on that gramophone. Remember the cats I cross-stitched not long ago? And how excited I was about the metal on the gramophone? That one's not quite as shiny, but if I could come up with a way to put one of those in my house, look at the pink pickle dish quilt there. I want one. And there was just a tiny glimpse of an old wooden ironing board that still had its original label. We've been collecting Crocs. I don't know why, but my husband keeps bringing them home from estate sales. Should have looked at what those were going for. I like that advertising dish for a crane company. I've never seen anything at all like that. And I was seriously tempted by the globe. The colors of that just make me want to take it home. We had a globe and it broke and I put it back together and it broke and I put it back together and I don't know where it ultimately wound up. Hopefully now my kids are old enough that if I find another one, we can keep it safely in the house. Walking wheel and a butter churn. These are the kind of antiques that make me happy. I have 2 butter churns. I do a lot of looking and drooling, but not, like I said, not much buying because most of it, either I have it because Grandma owned an antique mall, or I'm going to wait till I find an inexpensive one at an estate sale. I do not know why. Mink coats always draw me. Maybe too many old Marilyn Monroe movies. Grandma had one, but before she passed away, she had given it to another relative, and honestly, I would have had to fight my daughter for it, and my daughter would have won because she probably would have worn it in the right circumstances. Vintage minks are different than new furs, and maybe I shouldn't even be talking about that. Is that an old doctor's bag there? That is neat. I think we're kind of getting to the end here. Have a hairdryer a little bit like that one. It was my grandmother's, and I don't know why I have it, but I saw one online and went, oh, I think I've seen that in my attic, and went and looked, and there it was. Thank you so much for joining me as we rambled around this antique mall. I am Michelle with Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and I will be back with you again soon, either sharing needlework or more fun thrifting and antiques, because we all know that I'm not going to stay out of the antique stores or the thrift stores.